welcome to VOP this morning. I'm Esther Wachuku. Working with me today is Joy Adesua Eromasela. Joy, how are you?
Good morning, Esther.
How was
you
the
look
weekend?
amazing. Yeah, the weekend was fantastic, restful.
Obviously.
Yes,
You're
it was.
glowing.
Thank you. I can say the same for you.
All right. Okay, well, it's a wet Monday morning here in the city of Lagos. Perhaps it's cloudy where you are, but the forecast had it coming. It's that week when we can't be too cautious about the weather, really. But here at VOP this morning, there are two big issues for conversation. The US has declared Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu as its choice bride for the only meeting President Joseph Biden would like to have with an African leader at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Plus, it's still much ado about billboards as the agency that put out the all eyes on the judicial billboards apologizes to the regulator and is set to face a panel. These two are topics in focus for us this morning. But in the meantime, you may like to click on the like button and subscribe to our page on YouTube. We are Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, we are VOP TV Live. All right? So click, engage, comment, be part of the conversation this morning. However, we'll be heading into what the front pages are saying today. And of course, we will not be alone in talking about what the front pages are actually dealing with us. We actually have right here in the studio, Cyril Abako. Cyril, how are you?
Very well, Esther.
Good morning.
Good morning, Cyril.
Good morning, Joy.
It is indeed a wet Monday morning.
Yes, it's been raining cats and dogs since morning.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be starting off with the Daily Trust, which is the major headline that we have this morning. On the front page, massive flood looms in states as Cameroon plans to open dam. Okay. The writer there says, Adamawa, Taraba, Kogi, Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, others at risk. Water volume higher than last year's. Minister Nema tells residents to relocate. Okay. All right, we also have above that major headline, NSCIA can unveil code of conduct for clerics, say Nigeria not battleground. On theft, militants, pirates flee as NAF airstrikes hit camps. Also, no more debt servicing with scarce revenue, President. All of that you see on the front page of the Daily Trust. We also have article to Tinubu, tell Nigerians how you got degree without primary secondary education. Katsina, rising bandits attack worry residents. And of course, and that story is on page 3 of the Daily Trust. We also have local government tussle. Plateau Council workers commence indefinite strike over fear of attacks. All of that you'll see on page 16 of the Daily Trust. And on the bottom page there, intrigues, controversies over Nigeria's foreign reserves. Why did CBN borrow $15 billion? Import capacity under threat. That story is on page 25 of the Daily Trust. But I'll be starting with the major headline here. Cyril, massive flood looms in states as Cameroon plans to open dam. Anytime Cameroon intends to open its dam, it's a tale of woe for Nigerians. What's your take on that?
Well, God didn't make a mistake in making us conurbated with Cameroon. They are not our enemies. They are not. Nature is nature. It will always take its course. We are the ones who have failed to do our groundwork or do our due diligence in how we want to channel the hand of nature. It could look at what we've done with, for example, we've gone to build Eco Atlantic City. Before now, the Bar Beach seemed like one big but we were not. Man was not meant to be helpless in the face of nature. Imagine that we can forecast how the weather is going to behave for 20 weeks or so. We can just tell tomorrow there's going to and the rains will come. Of course, when the climate change is also come, but still it doesn't mean that we're helpless. I think now the only thing we can say is people should relocate. Relocate to where?
I don't know.
This thing happens. It has become an annual ritual. We don't have settlements where people can go take shelter and say that okay, this damn thing, when it's released.
You recall it happened
in 4 weeks. It's an annual ritual, and that's what I'm saying. It's perennial. We have not come to the point where we say, okay, there are settlements for these people. In 4 weeks, you come back to it. There's nothing like that. And the only thing they do is when people are displaced, they give them oil, Maggi, salt, and so on. And people who were owners of big houses and landlords suddenly find themselves in nowhere. In Bayelsa, people who even wildlife was terribly affected. We don't take this in seriously. The only thing the Buhari government did then was to say that people in the north suffered more than people in the south. What a joke. That was all that they reduced the whole thing to. And it was in the 70th of his government that he was saying the Ministry of Humanitarian and Environment should work out a national flood management plan in the 7th year of the administration.
But how do you think we can curtail the situation whereby when Cameroon wants to open their dam, we don't get affected?
No.
Are we not supposed to build something like
to
a bridge or something
to be
block
frank,
it?
of course we can do that, but to be very frank to you, that time when we just gladly came on TV to say what government should do and what government has not done, I think, to be honest, we've grown past it. How many universities in this country? You can count. There are almost 1,000 or more of them. Do you mean to tell me that in more than 60 years, no research? You must be kidding me. What is NEMA there to? NEMA, you have NEMA, you have NIMET, you have the Ministry of Disaster and Humanitarian Management, you have the Ministry of Health. Do you mean to tell me that none of these people have a template, have something written down? So I should now be the one to be telling Nigeria what to do. You know, it's not fair. I just think that this sort of, and it's not just, what's it called? It's not just Cameroon. Even in Nigeria today, when they, I think it's the time in Ogun, when they opened that place in Ogun State, try driving through, driving on the Ikorodu from mile 12 down to garage. There was a day, I was going to walk back, and I used to live in another area, so I was heading to work. And I got to a Ajegunle area on Ikorodu Road. The flooding was, people were using canoes beside the houses. So I took a camera. I said, let's go and do a story on it. We went there. To be fair, some of those people are living on places that have been marked to be inhabitable.
Yes, that happens.
But there's population expansion. Somebody sold them that land. They built. Government didn't do anything about it. If you are so concerned about the plan you put in place to say people shouldn't, where are you when people went to live in those places? And then after the flood has come and gone, nobody goes to say pack out and leave and do. They leave them there. So year in year, people suffer loss. Then they crowd and government says we didn't tell them to go and live in those places. It now looks like there's no government because anybody can wake up to do.
Usually so
whatever they
nonchalant.
please.
To put the answer in a summary, it is this: that government has ceded its responsibility.
But can't the Nigerian government and the Cameroonians come to a consensus and be like, okay, this is what we can do collaboratively to ensure that this kind of events don't happen?
If you do that, it's fine. If you don't do that, as far as Cameroon, like in Ogun and Cameroon, the point is that even they realize that they can't keep that water there. There's a way it works in the ecological whatever. You can't leave the water, so you must open the dam because more will come in. Like I said, it's the hand of nature. It has been given to man to direct the hand of. It's like when those people used to come to Africa, the missionaries they came, they were living in camps and stuff like that in the bushes, and mosquito was biting them and they died. It was a normal thing. Man didn't make mosquitoes. God made the same God that made mosquitoes, made the trees, made the ocean, made waters, and mosquito was killing man. Man woke up one day to say, we can develop drugs that can avert the consequence of a mosquito bite. So to stand and say, is the way God put it, it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't cut it. What we must do is Nigeria the only country where dams are opened?
Of course not.
Look at the Netherlands, for example. In the Netherlands, why are they called Netherlands? Nether means lower, beneath. Okay, so or under. So the land that is under, they are beneath the sea. In fact, the Dutch people claim and brag that God made the water and that they made the land. They brag, and it's not it's for me. It's not necessarily an unholy boast because God made man and put him on the earth and made him to be a co-creator. God didn't make this table and this chairs and things like that. It was So we shouldn't sit back and say it will come. Therefore, let it come. That's not how it's done. We must find a way to channel it and
All right, Cyril. Moving on with the headlines. I mean, we have to move on. Okay, so here we are on this day. So, and the very big story here says Nigeria cannot continue debt servicing with 90% of revenue. Now, those were the words of Tinubu, and you can get that on page 14 of this day. Okay, and right under that we have another story which says promises world-class remuneration for judicial officers. Senate unfolds agenda to increase Nigeria's IGR and tackle debt profile. Plans fresh legislation on solid minerals to generate $3 billion annually from sector. Then, okay, Cyril, you might want to talk a little bit on this, on the big story.
Yeah, well, the president saying, of course, I mean, it's not a new thing being said. We've had it time and again. Economic experts have said it. The people who are watchers of the economy have said it. Even journalists have said it. There's nowhere in the world where any country will be servicing its debt with 90% of its revenue. To be very honest and brutally frank, it is criminal. It speaks to irresponsibility. It speaks to incompetence. It speaks to lack of vision. Esther and Joy, let me ask you this: what would it look like for you, for either of you or both of you, that you spend 90% of your salary paying off people you're owing, people you bought shoes from, clothes from, whatever it is from?
That would be terrible.
That would be overwhelming.
Yeah, terrible.
You know. So while we are using that, and then we are to make up for the shortfall, we go and borrow and steal what we borrow.
All right.
Increasing the debt. So, you know, it's a very funny way to manage an economy.
Situation. There are still more headlines on this day where we have at Rwanda retreat, Nigerian governors declare effective leadership in high demand in Africa. And the writer there says, Nigeria facing huge trust deficit, needs to dialogue. Makinde also disclosed that we're better equipped with adaptive strategies. You see all of that story on page 5 of this day newspaper. We also have there as well, 5 states mark 32 years municipal journey so far. Congratulations. And Obaseki is saying our politics must work for the next generation. You'll see that in-depth interview on pages 21 to 23 of this day newspaper. Because of time, we need to quickly wrap up. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper. The major headline there says FG's estimate reduces unemployment on paper amid almost 10 million jobs deficit. That major headline is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have Nigeria won't service debt with 90% revenue. Tinubu assures at NBA conference. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Controversy over relevance of specialized varsities. That's on page 4 as well. And of course, article asks Tinubu to come clean on academic feat ingenuity. That story is on page 3. Nigeria still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily, says Rabando. That's also on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Nakat sues acting CBN governor, Deputy CCB, over alleged refusal to declare assets. That's on page 3. In fact, Cyril, there are a lot of questions I want to ask you. I want to ask you on Tinubu, asking Tinubu to come clean. I also want to ask you on Nakat suing the CBN governor over they refusing to declare their assets. And of course, the consistent crude oil being lost daily. But which of these would you like to talk on?
I think, I mean, the one in which Governor Makinde was talking about the trust deficit problem.
Yes. That's on this day newspaper.
Was it Makinde? Yes.
Yes, Makinde. He said we're better equipped with adaptive strategies.
Yes, because the point is this: democracy, governance, politics cannot work if the people are not working together with government. Both when they agree and when they disagree. Both versus being heard and government finding a way to meet the needs of the people. If that is not, but you see, it doesn't work because people don't believe in government anymore. People don't believe in a chairman, they don't believe in a governor, they don't believe in a president. Until we fix that trust problem, they will still rig elections. They will still steal money. And for as long as people are disillusioned, democracy cannot be said to be working. Because democracy is not an end in itself. It is, as I've always said, it's a means to an end.
So are we saying it's going to continue to be borderless?
No. The point is how, because, and this is the bane of the whole problem in Nigeria. Your president is speaking and you're saying, what is he even saying now? We don't believe in him. Your governor is speaking, the governor is speaking and we are saying they don't come again. There's an election, people are saying I won't vote because you feel that whether you vote or you don't see what's how. Yeah, so this is at the, and that's why people, someone that didn't take power from you will not feel accountable to you. That's, look at now, see what they're doing with the palliative. People are gathering like mosquitoes and dropping just to get a pack of rice. Or some of them are
it's
even
not even up to a pack. It's inside a nylon.
So people like that's what I mean like a packet of package and they're putting their faces and their names on the stuff and whatever.
They're campaigning.
People are taking contracts for all this for 5 billion naira and we can't we can't do the first thing right. How has the government ever gone to those villages where the dam waters are going to come to say, guys, in what way do you think we should be helping you? And not just to say relocate. It means the government and the governed have no communication. So how do you believe that you are the government? Do they see you as a government? If they don't see you as a government, what gives you the moral justification to say that you are the government? You are not. How then can we bridge this gap? What must happen is that government is government willing to come clean? You must come clean. You must come clean. When I was a little boy in the Third Republic, the governor of my state in 1993, that was in Third Republic, Governor Rufosada George. The following year there was a coup that took them out of office. But in the year that they got their first allocation, this man, being an accountant himself, they spent the monies that were meant for the state. There was extra. He sent back to federal government. He sent back. How can I see such a man? So what do you want to tell me about him now? He spent the money. What remained, he sent back to Abuja. Say we didn't spend everything. No, take.
Abuja to Lagos at the time.
No,
Abuja wasn't yet.
Abuja came in 1991. So this was 1993.
Okay.
Abiola 1993. No.
Yes.
Send the money back to Abuja.
That was before we had the Abiola situation.
Governors don't give account to anybody. Neither LGA chairman. When they said they've approved money for for football players to get their money from the FIFA World Cup, just to get allowance. In fact, NFL even had to call a press conference.
You can imagine.
Is that not shameful?
Very. They would call a press conference to defend themselves.
To say, look at when normally the normal thing have done is FIFA send the money, you send the money to the players, and you have to for you to even be calling a press conference, show that there's something to hide.
Exactly.
So please, we must work on this thing, and there must be a leader who takes on the moral responsibility to set the pace and show the example and show the way. Until that is done, this whole thing will be a circus of talk and no do. I hope that they sit up and listen and
Okay, Cyril, I would like to hear your thoughts on this other topic. It says Nigeria still losing. Still on the Guardian.
That's the Guardian.
Yes, it says Nigeria still. Okay, no, I just want to hear his thought briefly on this topic. It says Nigeria still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily, and this is said by Ribadu. What do you have to say about this? I find this
the question about losing 400 billion is it 400 billion barrels of oil per day.
Barrels.
We are not losing it. It's being looted. The NSA cannot tell us. It's not.
So it's obvious that it's being looted.
It's being looted, look, so we are not losing it.
I don't believe in
oil
any external. I don't believe there's oil theft in Nigeria. It's oil diversion. in the name of God. How if we even left this room and came back and found out that these two laptops had been stolen, we could still call it theft.
All right. So
if we came in to see that this monitor, the video wall was gone, the monitor was gone, the monitor was gone, the cameras are gone. Are you going to look for the thief or are you going to ask the manager questions first? I think you should be talking to the manager to say what really happened.
Okay.
You know?
We need to quickly round off. We actually have one more newspaper. We'd like to quickly take that because our guest is already in for the next segment of the show. The major headline there is, again, like was repeated with Daily Trust. Cameroon plans to open Lado Dam, writes Nigeria. FG activates NEMA to avert disaster. Oil theft, FG loads Tantita for pipelines protection. Due process was followed in NNPCL's $3 billion Afrexim Bank loan. That's on page 6. Ondo cocoa farmers protest alleged destruction, sale of farmlands by government. We'll have on the bottom page hard decisions needed to reset Nigeria's great trajectory, and that's by Tinubu. What do you say to that?
And what are the hard decisions?
The hard decision says servicing external debts with 90% of Nigeria's revenue can't sustain the economy.
Esther, let's be fair. I think even the president realizes that the matter won't be as easy as he had thought it would be. For a long time, subsidy must go, now subsidy has gone, and I suspect that subsidy has come back. Float the naira, close the BDCs, float the naira. You can't have parallel market, black market, and the main market. Where are we heading now? They've gone to bring back the BDCs. So clearly he has seen now that this thing is not. I think the APC government, this government needs to apologize to Goodluck Jonathan and Obasanjo. No, but of course it's true because all the things they fought them for, they are now beginning to see that it's not as simple as adding 2 and 2 and getting 4. They ought to. Some weeks ago, Okonjo-Iweala was guest of the president. Yes. So she spent a few hours with them, I think, also, and left. And the next week, we had the president say, no, fuel price won't go up again. You ran an economy within months. The dollar was rising up to almost 1,000 naira to $1. You now see that it's not what people are just saying. When you're in government, one thing. You must sit back and hold consultations. It doesn't belittle you from calling labor, calling relevant CSOs, calling religious groups, and hearing from them. Like I said, a government that wants to think that it knows what to do and wants to go on to do what it thinks that is right for it to be done will fail. you must sit down and ask questions and hold consultations, okay? Until you're willing to do that, you won't get the right answers. Of course, we know hard choices must be done, but before you take hard decisions, it's not, the people who didn't take hard choices in the past, it's not because they didn't know what to do. But you see, this Nigeria is complex. It's not as straightforward as you might think. Sit back, think it again and again and again before you're able to come up with a template that people are that has the buy-in of critical stakeholders before you can actually land and say we have come to the point where we think we can move. Any failure to do that will end in disaster. I can assure you that in the coming days the president will have cause to think again and again and again. Of course, he has somebody in the person of Wale Edun, a well-known a household name in the economy, somebody who has been their senator. But then having him, he can be the arrowhead. But the president must look for a way to get. Let me wrap with this. How did Abacha go from a small economic team to when the likes of Obasanjo, Jonathan, and began to involve governors, private sector in the running of the economy? At the point, the economic team was now made up of almost 20 or more people. You must consult. There must be a way of hearing what the other side is also thinking and saying. Any failure to do that will end up in policies that will look good, but when you put them on the road, they just bounce off.
All right, thank you so much, Cyril Abaku,
so
for what
much.
we have on the front pages of the Select National Dailies. Quite an interesting one that you have there. So if you want to see more of that, you can actually check us out on YouTube and definitely let us know what you think concerning that. Thank you so much, Cyril.
Up next on VOP this morning, U.S. President Joe Biden can't wait to shake hands and share a hug with his Nigerian counterpart, Bola Tinubu, who would be the only African leader he's willing to give attention to at the United Nations meeting in September. Interesting stuff. Details when we come back.